Hello guys, welcome to CS50 Series Solutions. Today we're gonna divide these solutions into two sections. First will be the overall concept, and we also need to understand argc and argv. The second will go through the pseudocodes of these solutions, so we'll explain much more detail in the later slides. First, the overall concepts. In the start, we have to include some library. In the main functions, we have to include the argc and the string argv. Then in the 2.1, we have to check the program whether run in one command line argument. The second, we have to make sure that all characters are digit. The third, we have to convert the string to an integer. The fourth, we have to plot user for plaintext. The fifth, we have to iterate over each characters of the plaintext and divide them into three categories: the uppercase, lowercase, and others. The last, we have to print a new line. So basically, this is the overall concept of the solutions. Before we go inside the solutions, we have to understand what is argc and argv. We will see these two terms very frequently in these solutions. Argv means argument counts. It means the number of arguments passes to the programs. Argv means argument vectors, which also means the one-dimensional array of strings. As an example here, we can see that there are 4 argc. So 1, 2, 3, 4. As the argv, we also can notice that there are 4 strings in this example. So in each of the strings, we can use index systems to index them. For example, as for argv, index 0, which is ./scissors. Index 1 will be 1, index 2 will be x, index 3 will be z. We can notice that the index start from 0 as a usual how we index in the program. The second, we'll go through the pseudocodes. We'll go through one by one in the later slides. As for 2.1, the one command lines, in these steps, we have to check whether the user provides exactly one command line arguments. If it is true, we have to print success. Else, if the user do not provide any command line arguments or 2 or more command lines, we do not accept these conditions. So we have to print the statement 2, which is the usage./key, scissors key. So we can use a method called if else. If the condition is true, we print statement 1. Else, we'll print statement 2. As for example here, we can see from here that there are 2 argument count. There are also 2 arguments vectors, which is 0 and 1. So if index 0 is this, index 1 will be 20. So if you can see there is 1 argument count, which is what we want, so the condition is true, we will print success. Else we will print statement 2. So this is the overall codes that we wrote in the programs. We have to include some library here. So we have to put in the argc and argv. We have to set a conditions, which is argc equals 2. Because argv, there's 2, 1, and 2. So if the argv is 2, it means this is what we want. So we have to print the program have to print statement 1, else the program have to print statement 2. So as 2.2, we have to check all the characters are digits. So we have to make sure not letters, space, or others. So we can use the methods, a few methods, consequently, together in each steps. For example, we can use the for loop. We can use the string string.h, the string length. String length is help us to calculate the length of a string. We can use the if-else statements. We also will use the ctype.h, is digit. Is digit is help us to check whether the characters or the symbols is a digit or not. So we also have to use a concept called tracking concepts. So our program will be something like these two. Okay, so this is key. So I can draw the XYZ. So this key is 0. So it's fulfill what we want. So we'll print a success here. We also have to reprint the key here. So else we will reject and go to the statement 2, which is usage./Caesar key. In the code, it will look something like that. So we have to include the library, and in between we have to decline a tracking variables. We call here a track digit. We also will use the for loop here. We use the string string length to calculate the argument vectors 1. So argument vectors 1 is this, which is the key. So we use the for loops, integer I equals 0, n equals to string length, argument vectors 1. So which is this. So from the string length here, we can see the string length is 2. So this is 1, this is 2. So this is going to be 2. So I is less than n, I plus plus. So in here, we will set conditions to check whether the key is digit. So we use the is digit here. So argument vectors 1 and I. What does this mean? For example, the I equals to 0. Since we have the string length is 1 and 2, so the index will be 1 and 0. Sorry, this is going to be 0 and 1. So 0 and 1, this is 0, this is 1 here. So the track digit, for example, 10 here is equals to 2, which is a digit, so we plus 1 here. So 1 is 0, is still a digit, so we plus 1 is equals to 2. So the track digit will become 2 here. So we also will use a conditions. A track digit will be equal to the string length argument vectors 1. So as we know, the track digit is 2. The string length is also 2. So this helps us to determine that all of the digits or symbols in the key are digits. So I already label here. So if this condition is true, we will print the success. We also will print the string here. So I believe there's a bracket here. So since, as I say, this is argument vector is string, so this is a string. So we use the s here. This is how we print the key here. If the key is a digit, else we'll print the usage./Caesar key. So we go to the next slide. The next, we have to convert the command line arguments from strings to integer. So as I mentioned here, the key is here is the argument vector 0, argument vector 1. So both of them are a string. So before we go to the next steps, we have to convert these strings to integer. To convert that, we have to use a standard library.h artoy. I'm not sure whether it's pronounced this way, but I try to do it. I hope you guys understand this as toy. So in the codes, we have to include the library here, which is this standard library. So we have to decline a variable integer. So we use these variables to equals using this toy. And since we want to convert this argument vectors 1 into string, that's why we put argument vectors 1. So this will help us to convert this 20 into an integer. Okay. Next is prop user for plaintext. This is quite direct. So what we use is CS50.h get string. In the code, we have to include the library, and we have to decline the variable in the string. We use the get string and print the plaintext. This is how we get the data and store inside the plain. Next, we will go through the 2.5, iterates over each characters of the plaintext. So we have to understand what is the exact process that converts the plaintext to the ciphertext with keys. So for example, the user key in 1, the plaintext is uppercase A and lowercase a, semicolons and exclamation marks. So this is a text. So the assist text will convert to decimal. So as you can see, this uppercase, lowercase, and some symbols. Okay, we call this symbols which is not alphabets. So this is the decimal for semicolons and exclamations. Okay, mark. So the target here is to remain these two, but change these two according to the key. So we can just plus 1 the key. So you can see 65 to 66, 97 to 98, but these two will remain the same. That means these two symbols will not change, but the alphabets will change. So you can see after we plus, we convert back to the assist text. It will become uppercase B and lowercase b, semicolon, exclamations point. This is how the process from plaintext to ciphertext. So in these steps, our goal is actually to iterate one by one of the symbols in the plaintext and divide them into 3 categories: uppercase, lowercase, and others. So we use some methods here: the for loop, string.h, string length, ctag.h, is alpha, is upper, is lower. So the for, you see some new formula here. Actually, I modified some of the variables as in the CS50. So C is ciphertext, P is plaintext, K is key. So the case is with dependence on what you want to convert. Is it uppercase or lowercase? If uppercase, we put the value 65. If lowercase, we'll put the value 97. This is almost the same thing. So the AA convert 65, 90. AA 97, 1 to 2. So we can know the difference is the uppercase and lowercase. They have different decimal. That is what we need to take note here. So as an example here, we do exercise. The key is equal to 1 and the plaintext is Z. Then what is C? So using the formula here, so as you can see, the P is Z, so the Z is here, is 90. So we put the 90 here. So since this is an uppercase, we put 65 here. So plus K, K is 1, 26 is the constant variable, and a case is same, 65. Okay, after 90 minus 65, we get 25 plus 1. So modulus 26. So after that, we 26 modulus 26 is equals to 0 plus 65 equals to 65. So what is 65? 65 is actually A. So the answer is A. It's like a loop here. So after Z, we'll go through A. So no matter how big is your key, you always go in the circles. So it's the same as the lowercase. So we take a look in the codes, the programs here. So we will use the for loops here. So integers j equals 0, m equals to string length, plan. What is plain here? So plain is actually here. So we need to know what is the string length here. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is like a space here. So j is less than n, j and j plus plus. So what we start to analyze, for example, this a here, this is a lowercase. So it will go through to here because this is a lowercase. So this is first the conditions is we explain what's j. So j is equals to 0. So j, the planes, j0, so is a. So 0 here, 0 here. So which is an a. So a is actually a alphabet, so it's true. It's a lowercase, it's true. So we pass these conditions. So we use this formula that just now we explained in the fourth number. So it's lowercase, so that's why we use 97. So 26 is a fixed value. What is the string to integer? This is a key, as we just now what we learned. We convert the string to integer, which is the 2 here. So we put the 2 here. So the plain j is actually plain 0, which is a. So we have to go and find what is the decimal for a. So when it plugs into this formula, we'll get the numbers here. So for example, we will become the c. So does it make sense? So as I say else, which for example these symbols here is not gonna fulfill these two conditions. It's not the alpha, so it will go to here. So as for uppercase alphabets, so we do some example here is B, so it's alpha, is upper. We will apply the formula here. That's how we get the D here. So this is, I hope you guys understand this. I think it's quite clear. So I will provide the conditions here for the uppercase, the lowercase. So we have to see is there anything we need to put here or no. So you have to do it yourself here. I think it's quite clear from here. Okay, so after we have this after this formula, we have to print a new line here. So that's how we do this thing here. And also don't forget, we have to return 0 if correct, returns 1 if it is wrong. For example, the usage. For example, I think, yeah, for example, this we have to return 0. We have to return 1, which is wrong. This is, for example, this is true, 0. So take note on that. Now, try to solve the problem again using those concepts explained. Pause the video and come back after you solve the problem by yourself. Okay, welcome back. So now I'm going to explain the solution using the code. So the solution will divide into sections as just we explained. The first, we're going to include the standards IO, CS50, argc, argv. So for now, we're going to explain how to run with one command line arguments. So the most important part here is argc equals to 2. So if the key is less than 1 or more than 2, it will belong to the statement 2, or else it belongs to the statement 1, which is what we want. So we can test the code here. Let's see. this one. So this is 20. So our key is 20. So it should be success. So for example, if there's nothing here, which is less than argc2, okay, which is like only have one, so is statement 2. So if they are 1, 2, 3, which is argc more than 2, so statement 2. So this is what we want here. Next, we're going to include, for other steps, we're going to include a more library here. So a string h, ctype.h, standard library. So just now we are heading to this. Now we are going to iterate to make sure all the characters are digit. So we're gonna include a track digits equals to 0. We have to decline a string to integer, not string, a variable. So these two decline, so we use this to track. We'll use a for loop, a string length for the key, argv1, which is the key here, the string length of the key, which is, for example, this. So after we have this condition set up, we will put a condition to test. For example, if the 20 here is digit, so you will plus 1 here. So this is the most important part here. If the track digits is equal to the string length argv1, which is the key, both are equal, so it's considered pass. So we move on to the next step, which is convert the string to an integer. As I mentioned just now, argv is string, so both of them are string. We have to convert this to integer. So what we use here is using the toy here. So we use the variable that we decline equals to a toy, so argv1. So this is how we convert the string into the integer. After that, we will put the success, and this is after we convert into an integer. We use the integer symbol here. So we also include the return 0. Else, return statement 2 with return 1. So we can do some testing here. Okay, let's see. So if the characters are not digits, so it will go to the statement 2. Let's try this. So Caesar 2 XYZ. Yup, this is statement 2, which is correct. So we put 20 here. Yep, success, and also the integer here, which is what is the account of this program. So we go to the third example, third code here. So the library is the same here. So just now what we explained till here. So we also go to the next step, which is the prompt user for the plaintext input. So we use the get string here. So we also print the ciphertext. So from these 5 steps, we have to iterate over each characters of the plaintext. So we have to find the string length of this plaintext inside these conditions here for the for loop. So once we have the conditions here, we can loop one by one. For example, we can loop one by one of the plaintext characters. So if they are alphabets and they are uppercase, we will use this formula 65. Remember, the string to integer is actually the key convert to integer. So I have mentioned here if this is the uppercase. So else if alphabets but it's lowercase, so we use another formula. We just change the constant here to 97s. So if it's a lowercase, else if it is elder, print out the character as is. So we will print the character as is. For example, a space here, we will print a space there. So let's try something example to see whether this code works or not. So else, there's the last step here, number 6, which is print a new line, which is what we input here. So this is considered a path that we want. So that's why we put a return 0 here. Else we put return 1 and 1 here. So let us test the code whether is it correct or not. So this is CS3. So it's 13. Hello. So let's check the answer here. Yep, it's correct. Let's check something more tricky, more complicated, which is like this. There's another symbol here, there's a space here. So let's test whether the output is similar as it is. So which is 13. Let's do the copy paste here. URL YYB GBEYQ. Yep. So these two remain the same. Let's test for the last one. Okay, it's still 13. Alright. Yes. So as you can see here, there's a lowercase, there's a space, there's an uppercase here. So it's kind of tricky. So RFHERL TBQ backs LBHE. Yep. So that's it. We test the codes and it is correct. This is what we want for our codes. So that's it. So thanks for watching and feel free to feedback me for better explanations. Please subscribe to my channel and see you again, guys.